Welcome back to War Games Battle Reports. Got another old world game today with Michael. This time we're playing King of the Hill, and it's the Demons versus the Night Goblins. How do you think this matchup will go? Two unpredictable forces colliding in the centre. Let me know in the comments if things go the way you expected. So we're set up here with the hill in the centre. Do you want to just go over the Night Goblins deployment?
Yeah, so I've got two stone trolls with great weapons just because I have the extra points for them. I've got my usual 2 blocks of night goblins, spears and shields, and bows. 2 squig herd units. I've got my general in the spears and shield unit with the battle standard bearer. In the bows, I've got my level 3 wizard. This time I took a level 1 wizard as well. So I've got Itchy Nuisance, and then my level 3's got the Law Familiar. So he's taken the Evil Sunshining, the Foot of Gork, and Vindictive Glare, just to give me some ranged attacks. Then I've also taken a Doom Diver this game as well, just to see how it goes, just to give me more ranged attacks. And then I've got my 2 Mangler Squigs and a Giant for a bit of fun. Oh, and I've got my heroic war boss on Giant Squig. He's going to kill his demon prince.
On the Demon side, there's 6 Seekers with full command. Got the Demon Prince of Tzeentch, level 4 on Demonology, with wings, heavy armor, and power vortex. A Seeker Chariot, 30 Demonettes with full command and the Rapturous standard. Behind the trees is the Keeper of Secrets, level 3 on Illusion. Got the Soul Grinder of Slaanesh, 15 Pink Horrors with full command and the Banner of Change. Just balanced there precariously on a pile of dice. Then there's 6 Slaanesh Furies on the flank. For spells, the Prince got the Summoning, Gathering Darkness, Demonic Familiars, and Vortex of Chaos. The Keeper of Secrets got Glittering Robe, Shimmering Dragon, and Confounding Convocation, so no Doppelganger today. And then the Horrors have just taken Pink Fire. Demons turn 1 movement. The Keeper failed to cast Glittering Robe, but then did cast Shimmering Dragon and has jumped over the woods. Pretty much everything else has just advanced up a little bit. Demons shooting. The Horrors used Pink Fire and Flames of Tzeentch on the Manglers, but didn't do anything to it. And the Prince attempted the Summoning, but failed to cast. End of Night Goblin's turn 1 movement. Failed to cast Evil Suns here. This Mangler got quite a big random movement and has pushed forward as fast as possible. Everything else has advanced up in a line. The Trolls passed their stupidity this turn, but were just out of charge range of the Seekers. End of Night Goblin's turn 1. Put a Foot of Gork next to the Soul Grinder. Tried to cast Ruby Ring and Vindictive Glare, but they both failed. Shooting from this unit managed to kill 1 Horror on the hill, and then the Doom Diver tried to fire at the Demonettes. It scattered, but was able to redirect and partially cover the chariot, but didn't hit it. Demon's turn 2 movement. The foot stayed still and couldn't dispel it, so it's blocking the Soul Grinder a bit. The Furies have jumped over here out of arc of the Squigs. This unit released 2 Fanatics. One hit the Soul Grinder, doing 2 wounds before dying in the woods, and then the other one is just in front, again blocking the Soul Grinder. The Keeper cast Glittering Robe on itself, and then it and the Demonettes have just reformed facing this way. Here, there were 2 Fanatics released from this unit. Combined, they did 3 wounds to the Prince, and then the Prince flew over this way. And here, the Seekers have charged into the Trolls. I tried to put Gathering Darkness on the Trolls beforehand, but that failed. Shooting, the Horrors shot at the Mangler, doing 1 wound, but failed to cast Pink Fire. The Soulgrinder shot 1 Goblin here, then Reserve moved back into the woods, away from the Foot and the Fanatic. The Prince cast the Summoning on the War Boss on Squig, but didn't do any wounds, but then managed to put a Vortex of Chaos down in front of it. In the combat, the Seekers only did 1 wound, then 4 Seekers died, and then the remaining 2 gave ground. Night Goblin's turn 2. This Mangler got enough movement to reach the Horrors, and these Squigs have moved up behind it. The Mangler and Squigs have moved up onto the hill in the middle, and the Giant has charged into the Demonettes. Over here, the Vortex of Chaos is still here and didn't move this turn. The Warboss decided to just move through it into the Prince, but didn't take any wounds from the Vortex. Tried to cast Evil Suns and Itchy Nuisance, but failed both of those. The Fanatic that was here rolled a double and died. Then the Foot actually scattered 11 inches backwards, hitting the Shame's own unit, killing 4 of them, and then he chose to end it so it wouldn't hit him again. Shooting, recast the Foot down here, failed the Ruby Ring, and then cast Vindictive Glare on the Soul Grinder, but rolled a 1 to wound. The Archers shot at it as well, but it passed all its saves and ward saves. Over here, the Doom Diver hit the Chariot, but it made its ward save. End of the Night Goblin's turn. The Mangler killed 6 Horrors, and they've given ground. They did 2 wounds in return, 1 from the banner and 1 from their attacks. Here, the Giant killed 1 Demonette with its attacks and then 2 more with stomps. The Demonettes did 2 wounds to the Giant and followed up after the Giant gave ground. On this flank, the Demon Prince was killed. He only had 1 wound left, but managed to do 3 wounds to the War Boss before dying. And the War Boss is overrun here. The combat with the Trolls, the Demonettes did 1 wound, plus another one that was regened, and lost 1 in return. But then the Trolls broke, and the 1 remaining Seeker that was left ran them down as they fled. Demon's turn 3. Failed to cast Glittering Robe on the Keeper, but cast Confounding Convocation on the Squigs. And the Keeper has charged into the Mangler, and the Soul Grinder has charged into the Squig Herd. Over here, the remaining Seeker champion has marched towards the Doom Diver. The Foot that was here moved through the Soul Grinder, didn't do any damage though, and the Keeper then dispelled it. End of the Demon's turn. In this combat, the Banner of Change did 4 wounds, but they were all saved. 1 Horror died, but then they still won the combat and the Mangler has fled. The Horrors have just reformed. On the hill in the middle, the Keeper did 3 wounds to the Mangler, but then took 4 wounds from the Mangler and actually lost the combat. However, in the combat with the Squigs, the Soul Grinder did 6 wounds and took 1 wound in return. Then the Squigs went wild, did a wound over here, killed the Mangler, and did 2 wounds to the Giant. All the hits on the demon units in range were either saved or didn't wound, and then the Soul Grinder overran into the archers. In the combat with the Giant, the demonettes failed to do any wounds at all, and then the Giant killed the champion and stomped on another one and has given ground. Night Goblin's turn 3, the Shaman cast Itchy Nuisance on the Keeper, so it now has -1 toughness. Here, the Giant and the Goblins have charged into the Demonettes. The Giant is in the combat, it just doesn't balance on the edge of the hill. Over here, these Squigs charged the Horrors. They got 2 hits from stand and shoot, but they didn't wound. And the Mangler didn't rally, so it's continued fleeing. Shooting, the Doomdiver misfired and actually killed itself. End of the Night Goblin's turn. In this combat, the Banner of Change killed 3 Squigs before they could attack, and then 2 Horrors died, and the Squigs fell back in good order, so they didn't go wild. Here, the Soul Grinder killed 3 Goblins, but as they all have poisoned attacks, they killed it quite easily. Near the hill, the Demonettes only killed 1 Goblin and the BSB with all their attacks. But then the Goblins only did 1 wound in return. However, the Giant killed 11 Demonettes. Then, because of instability, they lost another 12. So there's now only the Standard Bearer left. Demons turn 4. Another massive swing in the game. The Keeper failed to cast Glittering Robe, but then declared a charge against the Archer unit. They failed their terror, and the Keeper caught them as they ran. So it ran them down, then reformed this way. Over here, the last Seeker has charged the Shaman in the woods. And here, the Seeker Chariot has desperately charged the Night Goblins. Shooting, failed Pink Fire, but killed 3 Squigs with Flames of Tzeentch. In this combat, the Chariot went in, killed 5, and took 2 wounds in return. The last Demonette was killed, then the Chariot lost another wound to instability. It would have been a lot more, but the Chariot has first charge, so there was no rank bonus. Here, the Seeker Champion killed the Shaman and is now hiding behind the woods. Night Goblin's turn 4. The Squigs charged back into the Horrors. Didn't lose anything to stand and shoot, though. The Mangler has continued fleeing, and on the hill, the Giant has turned to face the Keeper, and the War Boss has moved over here. End of the Night Goblin turn. In this combat, the Banner of Change killed all 6 Squigs before they could attack. And near the middle, the Chariot killed 4 Goblins before the War Boss finished it off. Demons turn 5. Movement and shooting. The Horrors move down the hill, but aren't quite in range to shoot anything. Over here, the Seeker is just hiding behind the woods. Managed to cast Glittering Robe on the Keeper, and it's repositioned slightly. Behind the Keeper, the Furies charged the fleeing Mangler and caught it, so they ran it down. Night Goblin's turn 5. There was no shooting or combat this turn. The only thing that really happened was the War Boss moving over here. Demon's turn 6. Demon's movement, cast Glittering Robe on the Keeper, then it charged into the War Boss on Squig. The Horrors have moved down the hill towards the centre a little to try and get in range of the giant. Shooting and combat, put one wound on the giant with flames of Tzeentch, and then the keeper killed the war boss and has overrun and reformed facing this way, just out of arc. End of the Night Goblin's turn and end of the game. Nothing much to do in the Goblin's turn, so ended up a victory for the Night Goblins, 2061 to 1824 for the Demons. A very bloody game and quite unpredictable. Unpredictable for me anyway. Let me know what you thought. Surprisingly close on points in the end. The game looked pretty much over turn 3. The difference in the end came down to the Night Goblins getting 400 points more than the Demons for controlling the hill. The giant killing almost the entire Demonette unit in one turn meant the Demons couldn't hold it anymore. Thanks again to Michael for the game, and thanks for watching.